What I am about to reveal was never meant to be spoken openly, because once you understand it, you cannot unknow it. And once you practice it, your body will stop obeying the slow decay timeline that modern biology quietly accepts as normal. This is not calming breath work, and it is not wellness theater. This is reverse flow breathing, a technique extracted from fragments of ancient internal disciplines and later confirmed, then quietly shelved when laboratories realized what it actually triggered. You have been taught since birth that breathing is passive, automatic, harmless. That belief is the cage. Your breath has direction, and direction dictates command. For decades, research hinted that reversing internal pressure gradients could awaken repair systems reserved for trauma and extreme survival. Systems that release stem cells, accelerate tissue regeneration, and reroute inflammation toward rebuilding. Dangerous knowledge, suppressed knowledge, because a population that can self-repair does not age on schedule, does not depend, does not comply easily. Right now, as you inhale and exhale the way you always have, your body interprets safety, stagnation, and slow entropy. Your stem cells are locked down. Your tissues repair only enough to keep you functional, not optimal. I know this because I've seen the data in the manuscripts, and I'm telling you directly. You are breathing in a way that signals your body to conserve, not regenerate. And conservation is the language of decline. Reverse flow breathing flips that signal. It tells your nervous system that something critical is happening, that resources must be mobilized immediately, that repair takes priority over efficiency. That is why it feels intense. That is why it was labeled dangerous. Not because it harms you, but because it overrides the default biological contract. You were never meant to access this casually. You were meant to earn it. And now the question becomes uncomfortable and unavoidable. If your breath can command repair, if direction alone can unlock dormant potential, why were you never told? And more importantly, what happens if you keep breathing the wrong way after knowing this? You feel it already, even if you have never named it. The stiffness that lingers longer than it should. The wounds that heal but never completely. The fatigue that sleep no longer erases. This is not aging in the poetic sense. This is a systems failure running quietly beneath your awareness. Your body is alive, yes, but it is operating under restriction, like a city under permanent energy rationing. Stem cells, the very units of repair and renewal, are not gone. They are dormant, deliberately held back by signals telling your biology that now is not the time. Inflammation simmers just below the surface, not strong enough to force repair, not weak enough to disappear. Modern medicine calls this normal. I call it containment. You are told to stretch more, supplement more, rest more, while no one addresses the command signal that decides whether repair is even allowed to happen. Every shallow, forward-flowing breath you take reinforces that command. Safety, predictability, no emergency, no need to rebuild. Your tissues obey, muscles patch instead of regenerate, nerves adapt instead of restore. Collagen frays faster than it is replaced, and you slowly accept it because everyone around you is doing the same. This is the real stake. Not comfort, not performance, but time. Biological time. The longer your system remains in this low-priority repair state, the more damage becomes structural, the harder it is to reverse. I have watched people chase interventions for years, never realizing they were asking a locked system to open without a key. Reverse flow breathing is that key, but keys are useless if you do not recognize the door. Right now, your body believes there is no reason to release stem cells into circulation, no reason to activate deep repair pathways, no reason to risk metabolic intensity. You have trained it that way since childhood, and biology is loyal. It will do exactly what you condition it to do. The danger is not that this technique exists. The danger is continuing exactly as you are after realizing that your decline is being politely enforced by your own breath. Now we move into the mechanism, and this is where fantasy ends and biology begins. Reverse flow breathing works because it exploits a loophole in your nervous system's threat and repair architecture. A loophole that evolution never closed because it was only meant to be accessed during extreme conditions. When you reverse internal pressure by drawing the diaphragm upward on the inhale and resisting expansion, you create a brief controlled state of hypoxic stress. Oxygen levels drop slightly, Carbon dioxide rises, and chemoreceptors in your brain stem panic just enough to signal that the environment has become unpredictable. This is not damage. This is information. The vagus nerve lights up not in its passive relaxation mode, but in its emergency coordination mode, synchronizing heart-lungs immune response and endocrine output. Nitric oxide production increases in the nasal passages, dilating blood vessels, and altering stem cell adhesion signals inside the bone marrow. At the same time, cellular sensors like EMPK and HIF-1 alpha interpret this internal pressure reversal as a survival event, flipping metabolic switches away from growth through consumption and toward growth through repair. Autophagy accelerates, clearing damaged proteins so new tissue has space to form. Stem cells, normally anchored and restrained, receive biochemical permission to mobilize. Think of it like this. Forward breathing tells your body the weather is stable. Resources are limited, and efficiency matters more than rebuilding. Reverse flow breathing tells your body the shelter is compromised. Survival is uncertain, and repair must happen now or not at all. Ancient disciplines discovered this by accident through ritual strain and internal locks. Modern labs confirmed it through blood markers, nerve recordings, and tissue regeneration models, then grew uncomfortable with how little equipment it required. You are not forcing regeneration. You are triggering a priority override written into your biology long before language existed. This is why the technique feels forbidden, why it demands attention, and why casual breathing can never produce the same result. Direction changes meaning, meaning changes chemistry, chemistry changes fate. The protocol itself is simple in appearance and unforgiving in execution, which is why it was never meant to be mass-taught. You begin standing or seated upright, spine tall, jaw relaxed, tongue lightly resting on the roof of the mouth to complete the neural circuit. All breathing is through the nose, no exceptions. On the inhale, you do not expand the belly forward as you were taught. You do the opposite. You gently draw the diaphragm upward, narrowing the lower rib cage as if resisting the breath entering you. Air still comes in, but under tension. This creates the reverse flow. The chest remains quiet. The throat remains soft. At the top of the inhale, you pause briefly, just long enough to feel internal pressure without strain. This pause is where most people panic and fail because the body is not used to being denied expansion. Then the exhale releases slowly through the nose, allowing the diaphragm to descend naturally, but without collapse. No pushing, no forcing. One cycle lasts approximately 8 to 10 seconds. You repeat this for 5 minutes only, not more. More is not better here. It is reckless. Your focus must stay internal, tracking pressure, warmth, and subtle vibration along the spine and chest. If you feel dizziness, you are forcing. If you feel nothing, you are leaking tension. Precision is everything. This is not relaxation breathing. This is controlled internal stress calibrated to wake repair systems without tipping into chaos. The mistake most people make is adding effort instead of restraint. Reverse flow breathing is about controlled denial, not aggression. When done correctly, the body responds immediately. Heart rhythm shifts, mental noise drops, and a dense, grounded alertness replaces it. This is the doorway. Cross it carefully. Within minutes of correct practice, the cascade begins. And this is where people get scared because the sensations are unfamiliar and intense. Blood flow redistributes away from habitual tension zones and toward deeper tissues that rarely receive priority. The brain shifts into a low-noise, high-coherence state, often bordering on theta. Not because you are relaxing, but because the nervous system is synchronizing under pressure. Immune signaling changes first. Inflammatory messengers drop while repair-oriented cytokines rise as if the body has decided that now is the moment to fix old debts. Connective tissue hydration increases. Joints feel warmer, sometimes subtly unstable because the fascia is softening to allow reorganization. This is not weakness, this is access. In the hours after practice, stem cells released into circulation begin homing to areas of chronic microdamage, guided by chemical gradients that only appear under this kind of internal stress. Sleep that night often becomes deeper, heavier, sometimes strange with vivid imagery, because the brain is reallocating resources away from vigilance and toward reconstruction. Some people experience emotional release, sudden clarity, or an urge to be still. Others feel a quiet soreness, like the aftermath of deep physical work without movement. This is why the technique was labeled dangerous. It does not soothe you. It reorganizes you. If you continue practicing while chasing stimulation, distraction, or intensity, you blunt the effect. Reverse flow breathing demands respect for the recovery phase it initiates. You are not chasing a feeling. You are initiating a biological event, and events have consequences. The body is not confused by this signal. It is responding exactly as designed. The only question is whether you will allow the process to complete or interrupt it out of fear when the unfamiliar arrives. The timeline is where discipline separates curiosity from transformation. Because this is not a single-session miracle. It is a compounding biological negotiation. In the first 3 to 5 days, most people notice subtle but undeniable shifts, reduced background pain, faster recovery from minor strain, a calmer baseline despite heightened alertness. Blood chemistry begins to change quietly. Inflammatory markers trend downward, and circulation efficiency improves even though nothing external looks dramatic yet. By the second week, tissue response becomes visible. Old stiffness loosens faster. Skin tone improves. Sleep cycles deepen and shorten because repair is becoming more efficient. This is when many people quit because the nervous system resists change once the emergency phase ends and boredom replaces novelty. If you push through, weeks 3 to 6 mark the acceleration phase. Healing speed increases measurably. Bruises fade faster. Training recovery compresses. Cognitive fatigue drops. The body is now familiar with the signal and no longer treats it as a shock, but as a command. Stem cell mobilization becomes more responsive, not constant, but available on demand. By the third month, biological age markers begin to diverge from chronological time. You feel it in resilience, in how quickly you rebound, in how little you tolerate habits that once drained you. This is the point where the practice stops feeling dramatic and starts feeling inevitable. And that is the real danger, because once regeneration becomes normal, decline becomes unacceptable. This technique does not make you immortal. It makes decay optional, conditional, negotiable, and biology never forgets who taught it to repair. Now comes the part no one likes because it removes excuses. You have the mechanism, you have the protocol, you know the timeline. From this point forward, ignorance is gone and comfort becomes the real threat. Most people will listen to this, feel a spark of urgency, and then return to the same breathing, the same signals, the same slow biological surrender. Not because the technique failed, but because discipline exposes identity. Reverse flow breathing is not difficult, it is confrontational. It forces you to sit inside controlled discomfort and tell your nervous system calmly and repeatedly that repair is non-negotiable. This is why it was hidden behind ritual, mystery, and warnings. Not to protect you, but to filter out those unwilling to take responsibility for their own regeneration. I am not asking you to believe anything. I am challenging you to act 5 minutes a day. Precision over effort, consistency over intensity, and when your body begins to change, when recovery accelerates and decay loosens its grip, you will understand why this knowledge never spreads widely. A self-repairing human is harder to manipulate, harder to exhaust, harder to frighten. The breath is the gate. You decide whether it stays closed. If this revelation has changed the way you perceive the hidden potential of your own body, please subscribe and like this video. We are uncovering the biological secrets they tried to keep hidden. Take command of your evolution. The next breakthrough will be revealed soon.